High Counselor Vexhai sat in his chair looking at the big screen in the council room. The numbers on the screen made no sense to him. Something huge was coming from a part of space they had never seen ships before. The thing was bigger than anything they had ever built. It was bigger than their biggest city ships. It was even bigger than the great stations that took them 50 years to build. Where did this come from? Vexhai asked the room. Nobody had an answer for him. The other council members looked scared. Some of them were shaking. Admiral Kolthara stood up from his seat. His red skin was darker than usual, which meant he was worried too. "Sir, we sent our best scouts to that area last year," Admiral Kolthara said. "They found nothing there but a small yellow star with some rocks around it. There was one blue and green planet, but our scans showed only simple life forms. Nothing that could build ships." Ambassador Yelenova floated in her water tank. Her blue skin was flashing different colors, which meant she was thinking hard. "Maybe we made a mistake in our scans," she said. "Maybe the life forms were not as simple as we thought." General Dexmore clicked his claws on the table. His big black eyes looked at the data again and again. "This ship is 5 of our kilometers long," he said. "No new space race builds something this big for their first ships? This makes no sense." Meanwhile, in space, the UES Leviathan moved through the dark between stars. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge looking out at the stars ahead. He was a tall man with short brown hair and tired eyes. He had been in space for 20 years fighting in the wars between the outer colonies. Now Earth had sent him on a peaceful mission to explore new star systems and look for other life. "Captain, we are getting some strange readings," said Dr. Amy Walsh from her station. She was a small woman with red hair who knew more about alien life than anyone else on Earth. "There are ships out there, a lot of ships." Commander Lisa Rodriguez walked over to look at the data. She was Jake's second in command and the smartest person he knew about fighting and talking to enemies. "How many ships, Amy?" she asked. "At least 50, sir. Maybe more." "They are all around us, but keeping their distance," Dr. Walsh said. "I think they are watching us." Lieutenant Ben Harper smiled from his weapons station. He was young and loved a good fight. "Should I charge up the guns, Captain?" he asked. "Just in case they want to start something." Captain Morrison thought about it. Earth had taught them to always be ready for a fight when they met new aliens. Nobody knew if aliens would be friendly or want to kill humans. "Charge the weapons, but do not aim them at anyone yet," he said. "Lisa, send them our standard first contact message." Commander Rodriguez started typing on her computer. The message would tell the aliens that humans came in peace but were ready to fight if needed. It would also show them how strong human weapons were so the aliens would know not to attack first. On the main alien ship, High Counselor Vexhai got the human message. When he read it, his 4 eyes went wide with fear. The message was not like anything they had ever seen before. Most new races sent simple math problems or pictures of their homeworld. This message was different. "They are sending us weapon specifications," said General Dexmore. "Look at this. They are telling us exactly how much damage their guns can do. They are telling us how many soldiers they have. They are telling us they are ready for battle." "This cannot be right," said Ambassador Yelenova. "No peaceful race sends weapon data as a greeting message." Admiral Kolthara was reading the technical data about the human ship. His hands were shaking. "This ship has enough firepower to destroy a small moon," he said. "And they are calling it an exploration vessel. If this is how they explore, what do their warships look like?" The human message also included something that made the Council even more scared. It had a list of human battle victories from their recent wars. It talked about something called orbital bombardment and planetary siege tactics. It mentioned acceptable casualty rates and collateral damage protocols. "They think in terms of destroying entire worlds," whispered General Dexmore. "Look at this. They have plans for fighting on planets and in space at the same time. They have plans for wars that last for years." Dr. Amy Walsh was trying to understand the alien responses to their message. Captain, they sent back math equations and star charts, she said. I think they are trying to tell us they come in peace. That is nice, said Captain Morrison. Send them back our combat readiness report and ask if they want to do some training exercises together. That is what the manual says to do when you meet friendly aliens. Commander Rodriguez started typing the new message. Back on the alien ship, the council members were getting more and more frightened. The humans wanted to do combat training as a way to make friends. They were asking if the aliens had good weapons for sparring matches. Sparring matches, said Vex High. They want to fight us for fun. Sir, we need to call for more ships, said Admiral Colthara. I do not think our current fleet can handle this situation. High Counselor Vex High looked at the image of the massive human ship on the screen. In 300 years of space travel, they had never met a race like this. Most species they found were peaceful and wanted to trade or share knowledge. These humans seemed to think that making friends meant showing each other how well they could fight. Send word to all council worlds, Vex High said. Tell them we have made contact with a new species. Tell them this species appears to be very different from any we have met before. Tell them we may need help. The message went out across the galaxy to hundreds of worlds. For the first time in council history, they were asking for military help to deal with a first contact situation. They had no idea that the humans floating in space nearby thought they were just being polite and friendly according to human customs. Commander Lisa Rodriguez stood in the communication center of the UES Leviathan. She was reading the latest messages from the alien fleet that surrounded them. The aliens kept sending peaceful math equations and star charts. They seemed very interested in showing humans that they did not want to fight. This is strange, Lisa said to Dr. Amy Walsh, who was working at the computer next to her. Why do they keep sending us the same peaceful messages? Do they think we want to hurt them? Dr. Walsh was studying the alien language patterns. She had been working for 6 hours straight trying to understand how the aliens talk to each other. I think they might be scared of us, she said. Look at their ship movements. They stay far away from us. When we move closer, they move back. But we have been very polite, Lisa said. We told them our weapon strength so they would know we were being honest. We offered to do training fights so we could become friends. We even sent them our battle songs from the war with the outer colonies. On the bridge, Captain Jake Morrison was talking to Lieutenant Ben Harper about the alien ships. Ben was excited because he had never seen alien technology before. He wanted to know if their weapons were any good. Captain, their energy signatures are weird, Ben said. Their weapons are designed to disable ships, not destroy them. Who builds weapons that do not kill the enemy? Maybe they like to capture ships instead of destroying them, Captain Morrison said. That could be useful. We should ask them to show us how their capture weapons work. Sergeant Pete Collins walked onto the bridge carrying his combat gear. He was a big man with scars on his face from fighting on the moon colonies. Captain, the boys are getting restless, he said. They want to know if we are going to have a good fight with these aliens or if we are just going to talk. Tell the Marines to stay ready, Captain Morrison said. We do not know what these aliens are planning. They might be testing us to see if we are weak. Meanwhile, on the main council ship, High Counselor Vex High was reading reports from his intelligence officers. The reports made him feel sick to his stomach. The humans were not trying to threaten anyone. They really thought that showing weapons and talking about war was how you made friends. Sir, we intercepted more human communications, said General Vexmore. They are discussing something called acceptable casualty ratios for different types of battles. They talk about these things like we talk about the weather. Ambassador Yelanova was floating in her tank trying to understand human psychology. Maybe war is so common for them that they do not think it is strange, she said. Maybe their whole planet is always fighting. Admiral Colthara brought up a hologram showing the human ship. Look at this design, he said. Every part of this ship is built for fighting. Even their communications array has armor plating. Even their escape pods have weapons on them. The council members looked at the detailed scans of the human ship. It was clear that humans thought about war very differently than they did. The ship had backup weapons for the backup weapons. It had armor thick enough to stop their biggest guns. It had shields that could probably survive flying through a star. "Sir, we are getting another message from them," said the communications officer. "They want to know if we would like to see a demonstration of human friendship protocols." General Vexmore translated the message, and his mandibles clicked nervously. "They want to show us how humans demonstrate peaceful intentions," he said. "Should I tell them yes?" High Counselor Vexhai thought about it. Maybe seeing what humans considered peaceful behavior would help them understand this strange species better. "Tell them yes," he said. "But make sure all our ships are ready to run away fast." Back on the Leviathan, Captain Morrison got the alien response. He was happy that the aliens wanted to see a proper human friendship demonstration. "Lisa, prepare the standard diplomatic greeting display," he said. "Make sure it shows them that we respect their strength and want to be allies." Commander Rodriguez started preparing the demonstration. According to Earth protocols, a proper diplomatic greeting included showing your military capabilities so the other side would respect you. It also included sharing cultural information so they could understand humans better. "Then get the weapon systems ready for the demonstration," Lisa said. "Amy, prepare the cultural data package about human military history. Pete, get your Marines ready to show them our combat formations." Dr. Walsh was worried about something she saw in the alien communications. "Commander, I think there might be a problem," she said. "The aliens seem to think that we are dangerous. Their messages keep talking about peaceful intentions." "Of course they think we are dangerous," Commander Rodriguez said. "We have the biggest ship any of them have ever seen. They probably respect our strength. That is good for negotiations." The alien fleet moved back even further from the human ship. They had received word that the humans were about to demonstrate their friendship protocols. Admiral Kolthara ordered all ships to raise their shields and prepare for emergency retreat. "What do you think they will do?" asked Ambassador Yelanova. "I do not know," said Admiral Kolthara. "But if their friendship demonstrations are anything like their regular communications, it will probably involve explosions." On the Leviathan, Lieutenant Ben Harper was excited to show off human technology to the aliens. He had picked out some of their best weapons to demonstrate. "Captain, everything is ready," he said. "Should I start with the small guns or go straight to the big ones?" "Start small and work your way up," Captain Morrison said. "We do not want to overwhelm them on the first day." Sergeant Collins had his Marines lined up in the hangar bay. They were wearing their best combat armor and carrying their biggest guns. "The boys look good, Captain," he said. "This will show the aliens that humans know how to fight properly." Dr. Walsh finished preparing the cultural information packet. It included videos of human wars, human battle tactics, and human military ceremonies. She thought it would help the aliens understand why humans were so good at fighting and why they valued strength so much. "Captain, we are ready to begin the demonstration," Commander Rodriguez said. "All weapons are charged, all Marines are in position, and all cultural data is prepared for transmission." Captain Morrison looked out at the alien fleet. He could see dozens of ships waiting to watch the human display. He felt proud that Earth had sent such a good ship to represent humanity. "Begin the demonstration," he said. "Show them what humans can do." The alien fleet detected massive energy buildups all across the human ship. Emergency alerts started going off on every council vessel. High Counselor Vexhai gripped his chair as he realized that the humans were about to show them what they called a peaceful greeting. Lieutenant Ben Harper smiled as he started the weapons demonstration. He began with what humans considered a gentle warm-up. The point defense systems on the Leviathan came online and targeted several large asteroids floating nearby. The weapons fired beams of pure energy that could cut through metal like paper. "Look at that precision," Ben said proudly as the asteroids broke apart into perfect pieces. "Each shot hit exactly where I aimed it. The aliens should be impressed by our accuracy." On the council ships, the alien officers watched in horror as the human weapons destroyed targets with surgical precision. The energy readings showed that each shot contained enough power to level a city. Admiral Kolthara checked his instruments 3 times to make sure they were working correctly. "They are using city-killing weapons for target practice, Admiral," Kolthara said. "What kind of species does that for fun?" High Counselor Vexhai watched the display with growing dread. The humans had destroyed the asteroids so easily that they made it look like a game. How powerful are their main weapons if these are just their small guns? He asked. Captain Morrison was pleased with the demonstration so far. "Good work, Ben," he said. "Now show them our main artillery. Let them see what the big guns can do." Then Harper activated the main plasma cannons. These weapons were designed to crack open enemy space stations and heavily armored battleships. When they fired, the space around the Leviathan lit up like a small sun. The plasma bolts struck a nearby moon-sized asteroid, and the entire rock simply disappeared in a flash of light. "Perfect shot," Ben said. "That should show them we know how to handle serious targets." The Council fleet detected the massive energy release from the human main guns. Their instruments could barely measure the power levels involved. General Exmoor ran calculations on his computer, and the results made his blood run cold. "Those weapons could crack a planet," General Exmoor said. "They just destroyed an asteroid the size of our largest moon like it was nothing." "Maybe that was their most powerful weapon," said Ambassador Yulanova hopefully. "Maybe they are finished." With the demonstration, she was wrong. Captain Morrison wanted to show the aliens everything that made humans good allies. "Pete, bring out the Marines," he said. "Show them our ground combat capabilities." Sergeant Pete Collins launched his combat mechs from the ship hangar. Each mech stood 30 meters tall and carried enough weapons to fight a small army. The mechs moved through space in perfect formation while their pilots showed off advanced combat maneuvers. "Look at those beautiful machines," Pete said proudly. "Each one can take out a whole enemy base by itself. The aliens will love seeing real human engineering." The Council officers watched as 30 giant war machines performed combat drills around the human ship. Each mech carried weapons that could destroy buildings and armor that could survive direct hits from their biggest guns. The mechs moved like dancers despite their size and weight. "They brought war machines," whispered General Exmoor. "Giant war machines that move like living creatures." Dr. Amy Walsh started transmitting the cultural information packet to the alien fleet. The package included detailed explanations of human military history and battle tactics. She thought it would help the aliens understand why humans were so good at fighting. "I am sending them information about our greatest military victories," Dr. Walsh said. "They will learn about the Battle of Europa and the Siege of Mars. This will show them that humans have a proud warrior tradition." The Council communication officers received the human cultural data and immediately wished they had not. The files contained detailed descriptions of human wars that lasted for decades. They showed battles where millions of humans died fighting over single cities. They showed weapons that could burn entire continents. "Sir, you need to see this," the communications officer said to High Counselor Vexhai. "The humans are sending us their war history. They fight wars that kill more people than live on some of our planets." High Counselor Vexhai looked at the human battle records. One human war had lasted 30 years and destroyed 3 whole star systems. Another war was fought entirely in space and involved fleets of thousands of ships. The humans talked about these wars like they were normal parts of their history. "They have been fighting wars in space for longer than we have been traveling." "Between stars," Vexhai said. "How many wars have they fought?" The cultural data showed that humans had been fighting wars for their entire recorded history. They had fought wars on their home planet, wars in their solar system, and wars between different human colonies. They seemed to think that war was just another way to solve problems. Captain Morrison was happy with how well the demonstration was going. "Lisa, send them our tactical analysis of their fleet," he said. "Show them that we have studied their ships, and we respect their design choices." Commander Rodriguez transmitted a detailed analysis of the Council fleet. The analysis included weak points in the alien ship design, suggestions for better weapon placement, and tactical advice for fighting different types of enemies. It was meant to be helpful and friendly. The Council fleet received the human tactical analysis and immediately understood that they were completely outmatched. The humans had studied their ships for only a few hours and already knew exactly how to destroy every vessel in the fleet. The analysis included detailed attack plans that would wipe out the entire Council force in minutes. "They know how to kill all of us," said Admiral Kolthara. "They studied our ships and figured out how to destroy us, and they are sending us this information as a friendship gift? Sir, we need to call for help," said General Dexmore. "We need every ship in the galaxy to come here right now." Dr. Walsh was confused by the alien responses to the demonstration. "Captain, they are sending distress signals to their home worlds," she said. "I think they might be calling for backup." "That makes sense," said Captain Morrison. "They probably want to bring more ships so they can participate in joint training exercises. That shows they are serious about becoming our allies." Lieutenant Harper finished the weapons demonstration by deploying a squadron of hunter-killer drones. These small ships could reproduce themselves using raw materials from asteroids. They were designed to hunt down enemy fleets and destroy them without human supervision. "The drones are online, Captain," Ben said. "Should I show them how the drones can multiply themselves?" "Just a small demonstration," Captain Morrison said. "We do not want to overwhelm them with too many drones on the first day." The Council fleet watched as the human drones began building copies of themselves from asteroid debris. Within an hour, there were twice as many drones. Within 2 hours, there were 4 times as many. The drones moved in perfect coordination like a swarm of deadly insects. "They have self-replicating war machines," said General Dexmore. "If we let those drones keep building themselves, they could fill this entire star system." High Counselor Vexhai realized that they were not dealing with a normal spacefaring species. These humans had turned warfare into an art form. They had weapons that could destroy planets' armies of giant robots and self-building war machines. And they thought all of this was normal behavior for making friends. "Send a message to the Galactic Council," Vexhai said. "Tell them we have encountered a species unlike anything we have ever seen before. Tell them we may need to evacuate this entire sector of space." Captain Morrison was pleased with the demonstration. The aliens seemed very impressed by human military capabilities. Some of their ships were even moving away, which probably meant they wanted to give the humans more room to show off their technology. "Good work, everyone," Captain Morrison said. "I think we made a very good first impression on our new alien friends." The Great Council Chamber had never seen anything like this before. Representatives from 100 different worlds filled the massive room, but instead of calm discussion, there was panic everywhere. High Counselor Vexhai stood at the center, podium trying to keep order as alien voices shouted in dozens of different languages. "Silence!" Vexhai called out. "We must discuss this situation calmly." But there was nothing calm about what they had witnessed. The human demonstration had been transmitted to every council world, and the reaction was the same everywhere: fear, pure terror at what humanity represented. Ambassador Yulanova floated in her special tank near the front of the chamber. Her blue skin was flashing rapid patterns of distress. "We have never encountered anything like this in 300 years of space travel," she said. "These humans treat warfare like we treat farming." Admiral Kolthora activated his holographic display, showing the tactical analysis of the human ship. The numbers were so frightening that several council members had to leave the room when they saw them. "This single human vessel can destroy our entire combined fleet," he said. "And they call it an exploration ship. What do their actual war ships look like?" asked the representative from the Deltan colonies. "If this is how they explore space, what do they use when they actually want to fight someone?" General Dexmore brought up the intercepted human communications. The translation made every alien in the room feel sick with worry. "They were discussing something called acceptable casualty ratios," he said. "They plan wars where millions of soldiers die, and they consider this normal. The representative from the peaceful Arcturian world stood up on shaking legs. "We monitored their cultural transmissions," she said. "They sent us detailed records of their wars. One conflict lasted 30 years and destroyed 3 star systems. They fought this war over mining rights." "Mining rights," whispered the Centauri delegate. "They fought a 30-year war that killed billions over mining rights." High Counselor Vexhai tried to process what they were learning about humanity. Every piece of information made them seem more dangerous. "What else did we learn from their transmissions?" he asked. A young intelligence officer activated another display. "Sir, they mentioned something called the Geneva Convention," he said. "It appears to be a list of things they promise not to do to each other during wars." "That sounds reasonable," said Ambassador Yelanova hopefully. "The problem is, sir," the intelligence officer continued, "the convention only applies to other humans. It says nothing about aliens. And some of the things they promise not to do to each other include biological weapons, orbital bombardment of cities, and something called nuclear warfare." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans had weapons so terrible that they made rules about not using them on each other. But those rules did not apply to aliens. Meanwhile, aboard the UES, Leviathan Captain Jake Morrison was having a much different conversation with his senior staff. They were confused about why the aliens seemed frightened by their peaceful demonstration. "I do not understand their reaction," Captain Morrison said to Commander Lisa Rodriguez. "We showed them our best weapons, we shared our military history, and we offered to do joint training exercises. Why are they acting scared?" Dr. Amy Walsh looked up from her xenobiology analysis. "Captain, I think these aliens might be naturally peaceful species," she said. "Look at their ship designs. Everything is built for defense or exploration. They do not seem to have any pure combat vessels." "That is strange," said Lieutenant Ben Harper. "How do they settle disputes between different worlds? How do they stop pirates or hostile aliens?" "Maybe they talk everything out," suggested Commander Rodriguez. "Maybe they never learned how to fight properly." Sergeant Pete Collins laughed at that idea. "What kind of species never learns to fight?" he said. "Every human child knows how to throw a punch by age 5. Fighting is natural." "Not for them, apparently," Dr. Walsh said. "I think we might have accidentally terrified them by showing off our military capabilities." Captain Morrison thought about this. Earth had taught them that all spacefaring species would be militaristic because space was dangerous. You needed strong weapons to protect yourself from asteroids, hostile aliens, and space pirates. How could any species survive in space without learning to fight? "Maybe they are testing us," Captain Morrison said. "Maybe they want to see if we are really as strong as we appear to be?" Back in the council chamber, the debate was getting more heated. Some representatives wanted to attack the humans before they could call for reinforcements. Others wanted to surrender immediately and hope the humans would be merciful. Most just wanted to run away and hide. "We could try to negotiate with them," suggested the delegate from the Vegan Trade Federation. "Maybe they want something we can give them." Admiral Kolthara shook his head sadly. "What could we possibly offer them?" he said. "They have technology that is decades ahead of ours. They have weapons that make our best ships look like toys. What do we have that they could want?" "Maybe they want our territory," said General Lexmore. "Maybe they plan to conquer our worlds one by one. Or maybe they want to recruit us as soldiers for their wars," said another representative. "Did you see those combat mechs they deployed? Maybe they need more warriors for their endless conflicts." High Counselor Vexhai was reading the latest intelligence reports from the human ship. The humans were still sending friendly messages asking about joint military exercises and weapon testing programs. They seemed genuinely confused about why the Council fleet was keeping its distance. "Sir, we intercepted another transmission," said the communications officer. "The humans are asking if we want to see a demonstration of their defensive capabilities. They want to show us their shields and armor." Every alien in the chamber shuddered at the thought. If the human offensive weapons were that terrifying, what would their defenses be like? Tell them we are very impressed with what they have already shown us, HFY said. Tell them we need time to prepare our own demonstrations for them. The truth was that the Council had no demonstrations to prepare. Their most advanced weapons would barely scratch the paint on the human ship. Their best shields would not stop. Even the smallest human guns. They had spent 3 centuries building a peaceful civilization while the humans had spent the same time perfecting the art of war. Sir, we need to make a decision, said Admiral Colthara. Do we try to fight them? Do we surrender or do we run away? Fighting them would be suicide, said General Dexmore. Our entire fleet against their one ship would not be a battle, it would be target practice. Surrendering might make them think we are weak, said Ambassador Yelanova. Species that treat war as entertainment might not respect weakness. Running away might make them chase us, said another representative. And if they decide we are enemies, they could hunt down every council world in the galaxy. High Counselor HFY looked around the chamber at the frightened faces of his fellow council members. In 300 years of peaceful exploration, they had never faced a situation like this. They had procedures for trading with new species, for sharing scientific knowledge, and for settling territorial disputes. But they had no procedures for dealing with a species that could destroy them, all without breaking a sweat. We will try diplomacy, HFY decided. We will attempt to establish peaceful relations with these humans. But we will also begin the largest military buildup in Council history. If diplomacy fails, we need to be ready. Ready for what, sir? Asked Admiral Colthara. We just established that fighting them is impossible. Then we will be ready to run. Very fast and very far, HFY said. And we will hope that the humans are too busy fighting each other to chase us. Dr. Amy Walsh had been working for 3 days straight trying to understand why the aliens were so afraid of humans. She had studied their biology, their psychology, and their entire civilization history. Finally, she found the answer that changed everything. Captain, I think I know what the problem is, she said to Captain Jake Morrison as he came to check on her progress. These aliens are not like us at all. What do you mean? Captain Morrison asked. He was tired from days of confusing diplomatic messages and strange alien behavior. Look at this data, Dr. Walsh said, showing him the biological scans of the different alien species. The Xanthari evolved from prey animals that lived in herds. The Aquarians developed in peaceful oceans with no predators. The Drachmori were plant eaters that never had to fight for food. Captain Morrison studied the information. So they never learned to fight because they never needed to fight. Exactly, Dr. Walsh said. But humans evolved from persistence hunters on a death world. We had to fight every day just to survive. Fighting is so natural to us that we do not even think about it. And they think we are monsters because we are good at something they never learned how to do, Captain Morrison said, understanding the situation for the first time. Commander Lisa Rodriguez joined the conversation. She had been trying to figure out why the aliens kept sending peaceful messages but never wanted to meet face to face. So when we showed them our weapons and told them about our wars, we accidentally proved that we are the most dangerous species they have ever met. But we were just being polite, said Lieutenant Ben Harper, who had been listening from his station. We were showing them that we respect their strength and want to be allies. They do not understand that, Dr. Walsh explained. To them, our weapons demonstration looked like a threat. Our military history made us seem like bloodthirsty killers. Our offer to do joint training exercises sounded like we wanted to practice killing them. Captain Morrison realized they needed to try a completely different approach. Visa prepare a diplomatic mission to their main ship, he said. But this time we go without weapons and without armor. We need to show them that we are not planning to hurt them. Sir, that could be dangerous, said Sergeant Pete Collins. What if it is a trap? What if they want to capture you? Then we will deal with that problem when it happens, Captain Morrison said. But if we keep acting like warriors, they will never stop being afraid of us. The news that the human captain wanted to visit the council ship in person sent shock waves through the alien fleet. High Counselor HFY called an emergency meeting to discuss this unexpected development. He wants to come here, Vexhai said to his senior staff. The human commander wants to come aboard our ship with only a small team. Admiral Kolthara was suspicious of the human offer. It could be a trick, he said. Maybe they want to get inside our ship to study our defenses. Or maybe they want to plant some kind of weapon, suggested General Vexmore. We have seen what human technology can do. But Ambassador Yelanova had a different opinion. Think about this logically, she said. If they wanted to destroy us, they could do it right now from their ship. Why would they need to come over here first? Maybe it is a test of courage, Admiral, Kolthara said slowly. In warrior cultures, leaders often prove their bravery by walking into dangerous situations. High Counselor Vexhai thought about what they knew of human psychology. These were clearly a species that valued strength and courage above everything else. Maybe the human captain was trying to show respect by putting himself at risk. We will allow the meeting, Vexhai decided, but we will be ready for anything. Captain Morrison prepared for the diplomatic mission by leaving all weapons behind. He brought only Commander Rodriguez, Dr. Walsh, and 2 unarmed Marines as guards. When the alien shuttle came to pick them up, the humans were surprised by how small and fragile it looked. Their shuttle has no weapons at all, observed Commander Rodriguez as they boarded the alien craft. It is not even armored. Remember what Amy told us, Captain Morrison said. These aliens never learned to fight, so they never learned to build fighting machines. The trip to the council ship was short but educational. The humans could see that the alien vessels were built for completely different purposes than human ships. Where human ships had armor plating, the alien ships had viewing windows. Where humans put weapons, the aliens had scientific instruments. Look at their ship design, Dr. Walsh whispered. It is built for exploration and research, not for combat. When they arrived at the council ship, the humans were amazed by what they found. The corridors were wide and bright with artwork on the walls, and plants growing in special gardens. It looked more like a university than a military vessel. High Counselor Vexhai met them in a conference room that was clearly designed for peaceful negotiations. The furniture was comfortable, the lighting was soft, and there were no security guards. In sight, welcome to our ship, Vexhai said through the translation device. We are honored by your visit. Captain Morrison was confused by the alien leader appearance. Vexhai looked more like a professor than a military commander. His clothes were simple, his manner was calm, and he seemed genuinely interested in peaceful conversation. Thank you for agreeing to meet with us, Captain Morrison said. We are excited about the possibility of friendship between our species. Yes, about that, Vexhai said carefully. We have some concerns about human intentions. Your demonstrations were very impressive, but also somewhat frightening. Dr. Walsh stepped forward to explain. I think there has been a misunderstanding. She said, humans evolved on a very dangerous world where we had to fight to survive. Fighting and weapons are normal parts of our culture. We were trying to show you that we are strong allies, not that we want to hurt you. So you do not plan to conquer our worlds? Vexhai asked hopefully. Of course not, Captain Morrison said, surprised by the question. We came here to explore and to make friends. Why would we want to conquer anyone? Admiral Kolthara, who had been listening quietly, finally spoke up. Because that is what strong species usually do, he said. In our experience, the strong take what they want from the weak. That is not how humans think, Commander Rodriguez explained. We fight when we have to, but we prefer to have allies instead of enemies. Strong friends are much better than conquered slaves. The conversation continued for several hours as both species tried to understand each other. Slowly the aliens began to realize that humans were not the monsters they had feared. The humans were warriors, but they were honorable warriors who protected the weak instead of preying on them. I think I understand now, Vexhai said finally. You build terrible weapons because you want peace. You prepare for war so that war will not happen. Exactly, Captain Morrison said. An enemy who knows you can destroy them will think twice before attacking you. Peace through strength. And you want to be our allies so that nobody will attack us either, Admiral Kolthara said with growing understanding. That would be the idea, Dr. Walsh said. Humans believe that everyone deserves to live in peace. Sometimes you have to fight to protect that peace. When the meeting ended, both sides felt much better about the situation. The aliens realized that humans were not planning to hurt them, and the humans understood why their normal behavior had been so frightening. High Counselor Vex High escorted the human team back to their shuttle. We would be honored to establish formal diplomatic relations with humanity, he said. Perhaps you could teach us some of your defensive technologies. And perhaps you could teach us about peaceful exploration, Captain Morrison replied. We could learn much from each other. As the UES Leviathan prepared to continue its mission, the Council fleet began sending messages to their home worlds. The messages carried news of humanity's first interstellar alliance and also secret orders to begin the largest military build-up in galactic history. The aliens had decided to welcome humans as protectors of the galaxy, but they also wanted to make sure they never needed protection from humans themselves. Captain Morrison never learned about the massive fleet construction programs that began after his ship left the system. The Leviathan jumped to hyperspace carrying the promise of friendship between species, while behind them the Council quietly prepared for the day when that friendship might not be enough. High Counselor Vex High watched the human ship disappear and wondered how many other death worlds might be out there and what other warrior species might be building ships in the dark between the stars.